Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Folks, today's Tuesday, March 31st, 2026. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. After a decade, the white police officer who killed Terence Crutcher in Oklahoma will finally face a jury for her actions following an appeals court ruling that Betty Jo Shelby is not entitled to qualified immunity. I'll talk with the family's attorney and Terence's sister, twin sister, about this major victory. The Supreme Court justices who have heard arguments regarding a Mississippi death penalty case that raises important questions about race, jury selection, and fairness within the criminal justice system. This follows a 2019 decision in which the Supreme Court overturned another inmate's conviction for civil misconduct involving the same prosecutor and judge. Democratic Senators Richard Blumenthal and Sheldon Whitehouse call out Trump's judicial nominees for failing to admit who won the 2020 presidential election. The Army has suspended 4 people in connection with an incident involving 2 Apache helicopters flying low and saluting that punk Kid Rock. Also, we'll talk to the authors of a new report that outlines the impact of Donald Trump's policies on black women in business. Folks, Trump is also signing an executive order, it's unbelievable, ruling out mail-in voting. Yeah, it'll get sued real quick. Plus, in tonight's Shop Black Star Network Marketplace segment, she went from being homeless to creating jewelry recognized as one of Oprah's favorite things. We'll talk to the creative mind behind Valencia Key jewelry. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. He's knowing, putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin.
All right, folks, in 2016, unarmed Terence Crutcher shot and killed by white Tulsa police officer Betty Shelby. Local prosecutors claim that Shelby acted unreasonably and charged her with first-degree manslaughter. However, in 2017, a jury found Shelby not guilty. Following the verdict, the Crutcher family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Shelby, but that case was dismissed. On Monday, the United States 10th Circuit Court of Appeals ruled the lawsuit against Shelby should not have been dismissed, stating that she is not entitled to qualified immunity. This means that the family's lawsuit can now proceed. The family attorney, Demario Solomon Simmons, and Dr. Tiffany Crutcher, the founder and executive director of the Terence Crutcher Foundation, his twin sister, are joining us right now. So again, so she cannot be tried in in criminal, but this relates to the civil case, correct?
That's right, Roland, and thanks for having us both on. But yes, we are so excited about this victory that now we, after 10 years of waiting and fighting and scratching and clawing, our case was dismissed. It was revived yesterday by the 10th Circuit in a powerful opinion, and we are excited about this opportunity to finally get some justice for the Crutcher family. So walk us through this qualified immunity. Were her lawyers asserting that because of qualified immunity, she could not be sued civilly? Exactly, and this is why we must get rid of qualified immunity. And I know that's a lot of the work that Tiffany is doing right now, because it stops cops from being sued when they break the law, and violate people's their constitutional rights. And qualified immunity does not appear in the Constitution. Qualified immunity is not in the statute like the 1871 Civil Rights Act that gives us the ability to sue these state actors for violating constitutional provisions. Qualified immunity was something that was created by the courts back in the early 1980s, and it's used as a shield to protect cops that do wrongdoing so they cannot be held accountable. Tiffany, share your thoughts on this decision.
Well, first, Roland, thank you as always for allowing us to use your platform and showing up in Tulsa no matter if it's Black Wall Street, Black Creeks, and here we are again with Terence Crutcher 10 years later. My family, we're just grateful. We're overwhelmed with emotions. We're exhausted, to be quite honest. I made a declaration the night of the not guilty verdict that I wouldn't rest until I transformed policing, not just in the city of Tulsa, but across this nation. And Terence's last words to me, Roland, were, God is going to get the glory out of my life. I didn't know what that meant at the time, but this decision by the 10th Circuit, this ruling is living proof. And so my father, Reverend Dr. Joey Crutcher, his son, Terence Jr., who was 4 at the time of his daddy's killing, he's now 14, was with us today at the press conference, his 2 beautiful daughters. We're just glad that we lived to fight another day. It's been a long journey.
You know, we've seen so many of these particular cases, and what often happens, DeMario, settlements take place, settlements with cities. And so this suit here is, so for folks who don't understand, is this suit against the city or is it against her personally?
This is a suit against her personally. Unfortunately, the city was let out of the case by the 10th Circuit. They upheld the city being dismissed on our Monell claims. We were not happy about that. We're evaluating what we maybe want to do. But this case is against Betty Jo Shelby specifically. But if we go to trial, and we're preparing for trial with our amazing co-counsel, Karen Portlock at Gibson and Dunn, who did a fantastic job of arguing our case at the 10th Circuit. We're preparing to go to trial, and we're going to expose everything that happened with the city of Tulsa and the corruption. You know, Terence was a victim twice. He was a victim as being shot and killed unjustly, and then he was a victim of a smear campaign and a corrupt cover-up. And if we go to trial, we're going to be able to bring out all of our experts. We're going to be able to put the family on the stand, and we're going to be able to put the full story about what happened here. And that did not happen, quite frankly, during a criminal trial. There was, in fact, Roland, I don't know if you remember, but during a criminal trial, the state of Oklahoma didn't even put up an expert to say why Betty Shelby should be convicted. But we will certainly do that. We feel very strongly about that, and we're hoping that the city understands that the Crutcher family has suffered long enough for 10 years. But if they want to move forward, we will be prepared.
All right, then. We'll certainly keep us abreast of the next steps that take place in this case. Before we let you go, tell us about what's happening in May.
Awesome. Thank you, Roland.
Go ahead, Tiffany.
Oh, are you okay? Well, I organized the Black Wall Street Legacy Fest, Roland. You were with us the year before last, where you are our MC, and I think I twisted your arm to get here, and we had a lot of fun. But it's simply our rally cry for justice for Greenwood, where we honor the survivors and descendants. Now we just have one, Mother Leslie Benningfield Randall, who's 111 years old. So this May 30th and 29th, we're going to do it again. I made a promise, as long as we had living survivors, we would center them, we would center their fight for justice. And so it's just not a festival. It's our rally cry for repair, for respect, for restitution. And so we're going to have people coming home from all over the country to help us commemorate. I believe this will be the 106th anniversary of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre. And so it's 105, yeah. So we're asking everybody to come home, because we know that 10,000 people were displaced all over this country, not as immigrants, but as refugees because of the racial terror violence. And so I'm just honored that my foundation, the Terence Crutcher Foundation, we're investing all of the resources that we have to keep this story in the forefront and into and hopefully get it cemented through a national monument designation through Congress, so this story is never erased from the history books again.
DeMario?
Yeah. So yeah, part of the Black Wall Street Legacy Fest weekend on Friday, May 29th, we're having Greenwood 120, where we're going to be acknowledging the 105th anniversary of the massacre, as Tiffany talked about, but also the 120th anniversary of the founding of Greenwood. Greenwood is 120 years old, and we're excited that through everything we've been through, we are still here standing and still being a beacon for Black America. We're bringing down 3 amazing individuals that we're honoring, which is Angela Rye, my big brother, and Tiffany's big brother, Brian Stevenson, And John Rogers, the great businessman who was a descendant of J.B. Stratford, the richest man on Greenwood at the time of the massacre. Our event is going to be co-hosted by Joy Reid and Charles Coleman of MS Now. So we're excited about that. Tiffany Cross is going to be doing some corresponding work for us. So we are really excited. And Roland, we're hoping that you're going to be able to make it and stream it on the Black Star Network.
Y'all, DeMario been sweating me since January, and I keep telling him that there are about three different offers my assistant is dealing with. And so I'm like, I will let you know if I can make it. You know, brother is in demand. And so, he was trying to get me to commit y'all in January. I was like, dog, that's hella early.
Hey, I'm just trying to do my due diligence.
I got you. All right, well, I will let y'all know what happens. Keep us abreast on this case, and thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. This is a big win for anyone fighting qualified immunity. Look at that opinion. It's a powerful opinion for the Crutcher family and for everyone against qualified immunity.
All right. We appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
All right. Peace.
Folks, got to go to a break. We'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Why does it feel like we're going backward? Voting rights under attack, schools stripped of funding, Black history erased. This is the Trump MAGA agenda. They want to take us back. They are redrawing congressional lines in states across the country, deciding who gets power and who gets silenced. We see what this is, a power grab. Virginians won't be fooled. Show up, vote, take back our power. It's a temporary measure that gives the people, not politicians, the final say. Vote yes by April 21st.
With medicine and science under attack, I want to keep you and your family informed and healthy. I'm Dr. Ebony Hilton, and I knew at the age of 8 that I wanted to be a doctor. So I studied hard and became the first African-American female anesthesiologist hired at the Medical University of South Carolina since its opening in 1824. And I always say I was made into a doctor, but I was born to be a mom. And as a new mom, wife, sister, daughter, and friend, I understand how frightening a medical crisis can be. I care for individuals on some of the worst days of their lives, and it's my mission to provide you with a safe space to gain clarity on issues affecting your mind, body, and soul. I recognize that there are health disparities, particularly as it pertains to race, and I want to help bridge the gap between you and your healthcare providers. Join me every Thursday for Second Opinion on the Black Star Network, where each week I'll invite experts from various medical fields to share the latest health news. We'll discuss topics such as the vaccine debate, mental and sexual health, medical bias, infertility, menopause, andropause, nutrition, and aging. Together with my medical colleagues, we aim to provide you with a second opinion. Don't miss it, Thursdays only on the Black Star Network.
How you doing? My name is Mark Carey, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. Deep into it, like pasteurized milk without the 2%. We getting deep. You want to turn that shit off? We're doing an interview, motherfucker.
All right, folks, the shenanigans of the twice impeached, criminally convicted felon-in-chief Donald Trump continues. Go to my iPad, Henry. So this fool has now signed an executive order limiting mail-in voting. This is a political story. The order directs the Postal Service to only send mail-in ballots to an approved list of voters. Yes, this fool actually said this. He goes, the cheating is legendary. It's horrible what's going on. It's going to help with the elections. And so, it's an unconstitutional order. He said, that it can't be challenged, all that sort of stuff along those lines. And so they think by curbing mail-in balloting, it's going to be it. Now, this is the basis also of his Save America Act. Now, he's also pissed off that it hasn't been approved by Congress. Now, keep in mind, this fool has actually voted by mail-in ballot, even when he could have voted in person, but he chose not to. Let's bring in my panel to talk about the latest stupid, shameful, despicable act of this cheater, a man who simply cannot handle the fact that he lost in 2020. Dr. Mustafa Santiago Ali, former senior advisor for environmental justice at the EPA, joining us from D.C. Nicole Robinson, political law attorney and strategist out of D.C. Dr. Avis Jones-DeWeaver, author of How Exceptional Black Women Lead, Unlocking the Secrets to creating phenomenal success in career and in life, co-founder, editor-in-chief, Max Black's Media, National Harbor, Maryland. Nicole, I want to start with you. I mean, listen, this executive order is a joke, but again, it's gonna be a lawsuit. He's gonna get sued, and they know this, and he could try to claim, oh, there's no there, but yeah, it is.
Right. And just like most of his executive orders, they have been challenged in the court. And we have to remember that he's actually not winning right now. State AGs, nonprofits, lawyers all across the country challenge his executive orders every day and are still winning. So there's lots of hope. And the issue here, like you said earlier, Roland, is that he has used mail-in voting himself. His own constituents use mail-in voting. So nobody wants this, just like nobody wants the SAVE Act either. Again, back with the hypocrisy and the contradictions and the lies. We know that there is no fraud in mail-in voting, but he's just trying to push this for the midterms. But I don't imagine that this is going to last much longer.
Yeah, and listen, it's all nonsense. And listen, here's this fool, Howard Lutnick, okay, who's Commerce Secretary, which, dude, you know nothing about voting in this country. I'm going to play for y'all in a second just the nonsense that he was spewing at the White House. It just goes to show you just how insane these people are, how they stand with this fool and just babble and I mean, it's actually really pathetic to watch these suck-ups like Howard Lutnick stand next to this idiot. Listen to this.
So the fundamentals of our democracy are built on voter integrity, right? We all need it. You've said it time and time again. It's a total agreement amongst everybody. So here's the idea. The states, right, run these elections. They will, if they want to use the U.S. mail, the U.S. Postal Service, they're going to get a code, a barcode from the U.S. Postal Service, and they're going to put that on the envelope, and we will have one envelope per vote. None of this time where we have no idea, there's no observers to mail, there's no envelopes, there's no certainty. That's all going to go away, and what the president is doing today is he's going to make sure that mail-in ballots are safe, secure, and accurate, and will have a clear distinction. If you voted by mail, you will have it on the envelope. Obviously not on the ballot, but on the envelope. So we will know 1 million mail-in ballots. There'll be 1 million envelopes, and you'll be able to know exactly, correctly, that citizens vote.
Mustafa, we already know if you have done mail-in balloting, it shows on the outside what it is. This fool actually thinks that, oh yeah, sure, we're gonna have individual barcodes. So please tell us, who's going to then sit here and now scan individual barcodes on the state and county level? Let me know, please, how that's going to get paid for.
They're going to use AI. You already know that. That's how they eliminated so many funds inside of the federal family. You know, the sycophants, it's just amazing how they continue to destroy their careers and have no idea of what they're doing, because you're going to be around long after, you know, Trump is gone. And it's just foolishness. It fills up the court with unnecessary actions. It, utilizes and takes away resources that we should have focusing in all kinds of other places where there is currently sets of need. And it just shows that, they're trying to, take attention away from some of the things that they are, it's not going away. Epstein's not going away. The war's not going away. All these different types of things that they've gotten themselves into, they continue to try and pull people's attention away. And then, of course, Trump is, trying to feed the base and is stuck on, the SAVE Act and these other types of things that we all know are not necessary because there's no very teeny tiny amounts of fraud inside of voting. So it's just ridiculous. And then, of course, the last thing is anybody's done mail-in ballots, all the information that you have to give to prove who you are and those different types of things. So everything's already in place. This is, once again, a waste of time. And they know most people don't read, and most people just follow what the headlines are, and they're hoping that people will just hold on to that and not actually dive into this.
Avis?
We don't even need to go through the intellectual parsing out of how this would be done, because they have no intention of doing it. And let's just get real about who they are and what they are looking to do. This is another tactic that they are using to try to rig the next election. They want to be able to throw out votes en masse and except for those votes that they believe are coming from safely red spaces in the country. So there's no desire to do this, quote unquote, correctly, as ridiculous as it is. And the reason why he's doing this is because he is at record low approval rating. He's at a 33% approval rating right now. That's the lowest approval rating of any president in the United States history at this stage in their presidency. He is historically lowly approved. And so he is desperate to hold on to power any way that we can. This man lies, this man cheats, this man steals. And that's exactly what he's trying to do with this next election.
I'm telling y'all, these people are literally crazy. They're crazy. They're crazy. They're unhinged. They say some of the most stupid, idiotic stuff. Let me go ahead. If y'all want to hear just more whining and complaining from a loser, because that's what this is all about. He is still, besides the fact that he lost. So here's more whining from the big baby in chief.
So with all of that, I'm very happy to be signing the voter integrity, and I think it's going to be really great. So if you don't mind, I will take some time, and I'll make this signature absolutely perfect. So it looks very good. So far, so good. Okay, so that's a big deal. Very proud of it. And I don't know how it can be challenged. You'll probably challenge it. You may find a rogue judge. You get a lot of rogue judges. Very bad people, very bad judges. But that's the only way that can be changed. And hopefully we'll win on appeal if it is. But I don't see how anybody can challenge it. I don't see how they can challenge it.
Like, you don't? We do. I mean, Nicole, you keep making this point. He been getting his ass kicked by the courts all day.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And he even said himself in his little speech, he almost admitted that he knows this is going to be challenged and that they're going to have to try to win on appeal by a judge who maybe is more on his side. So Trump knows that he has an uphill battle to fight when it comes to this ridiculous executive order that, again, nobody even wants. So I'm almost certain that he's not going to win. This executive order is not going to last in the courts.
You know, this whole thing is what he believes, Mustafa, is that the Supreme Court is going to do whatever he wants them to do. And it's just been killing him. Listen, a federal judge said, no, dude, Congress has to approve your plans for this ballroom. Lost that. I mean, and so we could just keep going on and on and on. Oh, court said you just can't just get rid of funding for PBS and NPR. Now he lost that. I mean, so these judges are absolutely sticking to the rule of law against this lawless fool.
Yeah, and as they should. I mean, it's a part of their responsibility to interpret the law and then make sure that they're coming down in a legal and just way. I mean, the reality is he knows with many of these things that he's doing that it's not going to be able to move forward. He knows it's unjust. He knows that it's hurtful to the country, and it's hurtful to democracy. He doesn't care about any of those things. He operates, you know, like he's an authoritarian leader, as we've often talked about. And that's just, you know, that's just the way it goes. So it'll all get taken care of in the court.
There is a rule of law, Avis. That's why it's there, and MAGA hates that. So the so-called party of law and order really can't stand that the judges are applying the actual Constitution.
No, they can't stand it. And thank God they are, because let's just be real. That's the only branch of government that's actually acting in somewhat of a functional way at this moment. We were never meant to have a king, as we know from these protests, but as we know from history, right? And so when you have a Congress that has just time after time after time after time, Republican-controlled Congress has capitulated to this man, bent over backwards, let him do whatever he wants to do, completely run amok over the Constitution, and he has decided that he believes that executive orders are his way of writing law and changing the Constitution, doing whatever the heck that he wants to do. There needs to be an adult in the room. And right now, the only adults in the room, thank goodness, are these judges all across this nation that are saying, absolutely not, you cannot do this. We are still a country that is run by law and not by man, and we are not going to allow you to override the rights of the citizenry. Thank goodness we at least have that.
It is, I mean, it's beyond laughable to watch this and to watch it unfold. And, you know, Nicole, people always ask me to keep saying, okay, well, how do we deal with it? I'm telling you, the only way to stop these thugs is at the ballot box. And they must be dealt a severe blow in November by losing the House and or the Senate.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I think people forget how judges, federal judges, even end up where they are in the first place. The president has to appoint them. And so we need a strong president. We need a strong Senate who is not just going to let these judges just be appointed without asking them tough questions and challenging their records and their beliefs. And lately, we've been seeing that these judges that President Trump are trying to appoint are just Trump loyalists. So we need to make sure that we're electing people in the House and the Senate who are going to challenge these people and make sure that they stand on principle and not just loyalty for President Trump.
You know, we keep talking about how people need to understand the political process. And here's the deal, Mustafa. If Democrats get control of the House or the Senate, that means hauling these Trump people down for hearings every single week, every single day, forcing them to answer to the American people because these scared punks in the Republican Party ain't gonna do it.
Yeah, it's important. It's a part of our system. You know, you're supposed to be held accountable. You're supposed to ask tough questions, and you're supposed to put a light on things. You know, when I worked for John Conyers, when he was chairman of the Judiciary Committee, he gave a lot of thought to, folks who were being called in and, when there were hearings to be had. And of course, there are multiple sets of committees that are there, and all of them should be bringing these folks forward. We should understand how dollars are being utilized, our tax dollars. We should understand what the decision making is for each of those respective committees that are going to ask the sets of questions. And if we're not doing that, if those folks who are there are not doing that, then they don't deserve to sit there, whether they're a Democrat, Republican, or an independent. But I'm sure that, if the Senate, flips, or even if the House flips, folks will, put people to task and ask those tough questions about many of these egregious things that we've seen going on over the last, year and a half.
Folk better wake up, Avis. This thing is real. And if people do not respond accordingly, then the thugs continue to run the country.
Absolutely. And let's just be very real here. They are playing for keeps. They are not holding back at all. And so the chaos and confusion and overwhelming destruction that they have wrought across this nation just in under 1.5 years, just imagine what would happen if they remained unchecked after the midterms. This is why the midterms are so critical. There needs to be a backstop. And just as you said, I am saying we need not only the House, it's important to have that, we need the Senate too. And both of them are in play and possible when we see people do what I know they are capable of doing, and that is overperforming, coming out to the polls and making sure that we wipe the Republicans straight out of power come the November elections.
If y'all want to see what happens when idiots are allowed to be in charge, just listen to these Trump judicial nominees, including one absolutely dumbass sister from South Carolina. No shock she was being pushed by Senator Tim Scott. These are folks who are supposed to be making legal rulings. They, if confirmed, they will be serving for life on the federal bench. If y'all want to see stupid in action, be my guest.
Ms. Westerkamp, who won the 2020 election?
Senator, under our Constitution, the Electoral College votes for the president, and then that is certified by Congress. And in 2020, President Biden was certified by the electoral.
Yeah, that's not my question. Who won the election?
And again, Senator, under our Constitution, and it's actually.
Oh, you know, I know who was certified, and I know what you think of certification because you tweeted on January 6th in a post saying, in reference to the 2020 election results, a certified lie is still a lie. I'm asking you, who won the 2020 election? Let me make it more specific. Who won the popular vote?
Again, Senator, under our Constitution, what matters is who the Electoral College votes as.
But I'm not asking you for what the Constitution says. I'm asking you for your view factually. And frankly, we've received this kind of canned, ridiculous answer before, as you know, because you were instructed to give this answer, right?
Senator, I am speaking to what the Constitution, under our Constitution again, and that is actually Article 2,
Let me
as well
ask
as.
you this. Who won the 2024 election?
In the 2024 election, again, the Electoral College voted for President Trump, and then the Congress also certified President Trump as the winner of the.
Did Donald Trump lose the 2020 election?
Senator, that goes back again to under our Constitution, the methodology is set forth in Article 2.
Let's try another question, Ms. Westerkamp. Was the United States Capitol attacked on January 6, 2021?
Senator, again, I condemn all of the violence that occurred on January 6th.
Okay, we're not going to get an answer from you. And let me try Ms. Clark. Ms. Clark, who won the 2020 election?
Senator, under our Constitution, the mechanism for electing a president
I am amazed. I am just amazed by the insult to this committee of witness after witness seeking to be a federal judge, subverting our Constitution, and showing how you have no independence, which is essential to a federal judge. Ms. Lane, who won the 2020 election?
Apologies. Again, Senator, the Constitution outlines the process, and as a judicial nominee, I'm here to talk about what the Constitution requires, which is an electoral vote and certification by Congress. And in 2020...
Okay. Who won the election?
In 2020, President Biden.
Mr. Rickey, who won the 2020 election?
Senator, as my colleagues have stated, the process we have under the Constitution is a vote by the Electoral College, followed by certification.
Was the Capitol attacked, Mr. Rickey, on January 6th?
There was violence that occurred here on January 6th, Senator.
Was the Capitol attacked?
I would just say, Senator, there was violence that occurred here on that date.
You've seen videos of what happened.
Yes, Senator, I have.
Was the Capitol attacked?
Okay. Again, Senator, I say...
Ms. Lane, was the Capitol attacked?
Senator, the characterization of January 6th is subject to ongoing controversy and debate, and as a nominee, it would be inappropriate for me to characterize it.
Ms. Clark, who won the 2024 election?
Senator, under the process set out by the Constitution, the Electoral College elects the president, and it's certified.
Can you pull that mic a little closer, please?
And the Electoral College elects the president.
You know, the answers here, which obviously are canned, they're pre-rehearsed, they're Orwellian in their denial of reality, and they are a subversion of this process. They're an insult to this committee, but they also fundamentally show a complete lack of independence and backbone and impartiality, which are the fundamental requirements of a United States District Court judge or a judge on any panel, Ms. Westerkamp. And I'm a little bit disappointed that you're not more original, that you can't think of a few different words. I'm just amazed.
Just to finish Senator Blumenthal's point, I hope you realize how ridiculous the four of you look. Spouting these preposterous, canned answers in a forum in which A, you're supposed to tell the truth, and B, you're supposed to demonstrate the judicial capacity to make independent, factual decisions in hard cases. If you can't even sit here and say that Joe Biden won that election or that the Capitol was attacked, what's left? What's left if a hard case comes your way as a judge, and let's say the Trump administration is bearing down on that? Why would we ever believe that you would give the litigants a fair hearing and a fair decision if the executive branch was leaning in on you when we can't get a reasonable answer out of any of you with the executive branch leaning in on you to give these ridiculous answers today? I'm really sorry to have to go through this and that you have to go through this. But it would be nice if you could tell your executive branch handlers, for instance, Ms. Clark, I'm supported by Lindsey Graham. He's a friend of President Trump. He's the second senior person on the Republican side in the Judiciary Committee. He's likely to be the next Judiciary Committee chair. I think I'll be okay. I don't need to make myself ridiculous at your direction. It'd be great if you could have said that. It would be great if your answers were simple and honest here today. It's really disappointing.
This reminds me, Avis, of the Trump judges who would not affirm Brown versus Board of Education.
Absolutely. I mean, here's the thing. They're going in there knowing that this is a litmus test. This is their way to signal their fealty to Trump. They cannot, under any circumstances, specifically acknowledge that he lost the election. They cannot, under any circumstances, specifically throw under the bus the thugs who attacked the Capitol on January 6th. This is their way to signal fealty. And if they are, in this moment, future judges telling the nation and the world that they prioritize one man, this felon, this lawless person who is all up and through the Epstein files, that they prioritize him over the laws of the land, they don't need to get anywhere near a bench. Not now, not ever.
Nicole?
Well, look, first, shout out to those senators who continue to press those ridiculous judges on this issue. And as someone who has advised many people on how to participate in congressional hearings and investigations, if these were my clients, I would be fired. It was ridiculous that they had the same answer every single time. They couldn't even find new language, as Senator Blumenthal pointed out. But look, we need our judges to be impartial and to apply the law to the facts. And clearly we can see that these judges here don't even know the facts. So how can the American people even trust them? And this is just another example of why we need to get to the polls in November and vote for strong senators who are going to challenge judges like this.
Mustafa.
You know, I've testified on Capitol Hill a number of times, and what I saw is just disrespectful, right? You know, we just brought the word trust in. How can the American people trust you if you can't even answer the simple questions, let alone the difficult things that will come, you know, across your bench if you end up being actually, you know, one of the judges? It's just a waste of time. In many instances. I understand that folks have to go through it. You know, folks have to ask those tough questions, but these folks are not serious. And that's why, you know, when they talk about meritocracy, it is not just about you going to an Ivy League school. It's not just about where maybe you have worked at what law firm. It could be a top law firm. It is also about your character. And if you truly care about this country, then that means that you are going to deal with the tough issues, have to take a stand, as someone said, make sure that you have a spine, because you are going to have huge amounts of lobbying and power that is going to try and push you in a certain direction. And if you are not an individual who will be able to stand up in the fire and actually do the right thing, then you are not the right person for these judicial positions. And folks need to take it more serious. That's why we used to talk about, we all continue to talk about on this show, the importance of judges, all the way down to the local level, all the way up to the federal level, of how important not only our vote is, but actually understanding who these individuals are, because there will be things that will come forward based upon their belief system, and if they're willing to do the right thing and not be bought off or be pushed around. You know, we just saw the character of 4 individuals based upon how they responded.
All right, folks, we come back. We'll talk about the Supreme Court case dealing with, coming out of Mississippi, another crazy, outlandish case. Folks, you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. Goals get 20,000 people contributing on average $50 each. A year does $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. Your support allows for us to fund this show, fund this network. We don't have millionaires and billionaires cutting us checks. We don't have these major corporations sitting here making it rain. So trust me, every dollar does indeed matter. If you want to contribute via Cash App, use the Stripe QR code. You see it right here. It's also for credit cards, checks, and money order. Make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 2003. 7-0196. PayPal, R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo, RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. We'll be right back.
MAGA Republicans ended diversity programs, cut funding for Black students, and fired federal employees. And they won't stop there. Now, they've redrawn congressional maps so that they can rig the November elections. But we have the power to stop them. By voting yes for fair elections, we have the final say on who represents us in Congress. This is a temporary measure to restore fairness. They are not backing down, and neither can we. Make a plan to vote by April 21st and vote yes for fair elections.
A decade of love, joy, and power. Black Voters Matter is 10 years old, and we are just getting started. This is love with a purpose. This is Black joy in motion. This is unstoppable power. Across campuses, neighborhoods, and back roads. Let's go! We show up, not just to vote, but to be seen, to be heard, to belong. We ride together, we organize together. We remind each other that our voices matter, because they always have. Black Voters Matter is about more than ballots. It's about housing and healthcare, clean water and living wages, education, reproductive freedom, and dignity. It's about turning pain into action, turning belief into movement, turning community into power. We don't wait to be invited. We bring the energy. We bring the love. We bring the people. Because when Black communities come together, we don't just survive, we thrive. This is how change happens. This is how history moves. We organize, we build, we win.
What's good, y'all? This is Doug E. Fresh, and you're watching my brother Roland Martin Unfiltered as we go a little something like this. Hit it. It's real.
Supreme Court heard oral arguments today in the case of Pitchford versus Kane involving a Mississippi man who claims he was sentenced to death in violation of the Constitution's prohibition against racial discrimination in jury selection. Terry Pitchford, argues that his constitutional violation undermines the foundational promise of equal justice under law. Mississippi maintains that this case does not fall within the, quote, narrow circumstances, unquote, under which federal courts can grant state prisoners post-conviction relief. Pitchford was convicted and sentenced to death in 2006 for his role in the shooting death of a shopkeeper. Another individual, Eric Bullins, fired the shots that killed Reuben Britt. During Pitchford's trial, the local district attorney, Doug Evans, eliminated 4 potential jurors, all of whom were Black. Pitchford's lawyers objected to Evans' actions, arguing that the strikes violated the Supreme Court's 1986 decision in Batson v. Kentucky. This decision holds that using peremptory challenges to remove potential jurors based on race is unconstitutional. However, the state trial judge who also presided over the 2019 case rejected the argument. As a result, Pitchford was tried and convicted by a jury that included only one black juror, despite Grenada County, Mississippi, being 40% black. In 2019, the Supreme Court overturned the conviction of another inmate, Curtis Flowers, due to similar misconduct by the same prosecutor and judge involved in Pitchford's case. Justice Brett Kavanaugh referred to that case as a, quote, relentless, determined effort to rid the jury of black individuals. Here are some of today's oral arguments.
In the selection of Terry Pitchford's capital jury in 2006, the trial court grasped and conducted just 2 of Batson's 3 steps after the district attorney struck in succession 4 black citizens. Despite the state's assertions throughout the red brief, the judge never determined the credibility of the prosecutor's step 2 proffers. Had the judge done what Batson demands in step 3, the court would have considered, from the voir dire that single February morning, the prosecutor's absence of questioning about the issues and the proffer's lack of record support and irrelevance to the case. What is more, proper credibility determinations would have concerned numerous extreme bad faith findings against this district attorney in 2 Mississippi Supreme Court capital reversals published in 2003 and 2000, which held this prosecutor had fabricated prior statements to impeach 4 witnesses who were black, and in closing argument espoused 14 discrete lies about the record. Instead of abiding Batson, Pitchford's trial court careened to opening arguments. And when the defense strained to be heard before the jury's impanelment, both about Batson and a fair cross-section challenge, the judge assured her 3 times the Batson objections were preserved. Yet the Mississippi Supreme Court found that Pitchford's defense failed to rebut the proffers and thus waived argument, while deeming the merely race-neutral proffers as, quote, acceptable, a pale substitute for Batson's demands, and a sidestep of the trial court's failure to determine the credibility of the 4 strikes. The trial court's unrectified failings in this prosecution, also riddled with other misconduct, yielded a jury selected with discriminatory taint, which in turn condemned an 18-year-old whose accomplice, according to the state's case, killed the shopkeeper in this botched robbery. We urge this court to reinforce the Equal Protection Clause's guarantees for defendants, as well as citizens willing to accept the awesome responsibility of jury service. I welcome the court's questions.
Did trial counsel make those arguments?
Mr. Justice Thomas, which arguments specifically do you...
Did the trial counsel make the argument that the prosecution discriminatorily picked the jury or exercised peremptory strikes for the reasons you just stated?
Justice Thomas, trial counsel made the objection timely.
What was the objection?
It was a Batson objection.
Okay. And did the trial counsel has the burden of demonstrating discrimination, right?
Justice Thomas, that's correct.
So did trial counsel do that?
Justice Thomas, trial counsel attempted to engage that process, which entails 3 steps in burden shifting. Unfortunately, the 3rd step did not occur in this case, notwithstanding trial counsel's effort.
What do you mean by that? It didn't occur. The judge decided that it was race neutral.
Respectfully, Justice Thomas, yes, that's all the judge did.
But did the trial counsel offer an argument or evidence that the reasons offered by the prosecutor were pretextual?
Justice Thomas, as the veneer was being released from the court, trial counsel sought to be heard on Batson and a fair cross-section issue, and was told by the trial judge repeatedly that her record was preserved.
But didn't trial counsel subsequently file an affidavit indicating that she did not raise these objections?
Justice Thomas, yes, that's correct. 3 years after the decision that's before the court now, in state post-conviction, an affidavit supporting an ineffective assistance of post-conviction counsel or trial counsel was authored, which hews very closely to the decisions before the court. It just mirrors what was ruled by the state Supreme Court in 2010.
What the transcript shows is that Ms. Steiner's what she said is at some point the defense is going to want to reserve both its Batson objection and a straight 14th Amendment racial discrimination. Was that objection raised later on? I mean, I think that's where that's the preface to where you say that 3 times the court said you have that. And I wonder if there was some confusion between the reference to at some point the defense is going to want to reserve and the court's statements that it is, you've already made it in the record. So I am of the opinion that it is in the record.
Mr. Chief Justice, thank you for that question. It allows me to clarify the sort of the goalposts on this question under Mississippi procedure. When the veneer is dismissed and the jury's impaneled, the opportunity to challenge Batson essentially ends or does end. Of course, there are post-trial motion practice that can occur. So the relevant time for this to be addressed, which the defense counsel was aware of, and that's why she strived to speak to that issue in a separate fair cross-section issue when it was still relevant for the trial court's decision. So I don't think that the defense counsel was seeking to sort of put a marker to be able to return to it, because that was the point of no return for the judge.
Well, but she did say at some point she's going to want to reserve. I just wonder if that's a source of some confusion for the judge, or what we're supposed to do with that potential.
Well, Mr. Chief Justice, I think if you see sort of as the colloquy goes down the page, as you pointed to, it's clear in the record 3 times. Then the judge turns to reiterating his ruling, which again is merely a step 2 ruling as to race-neutral findings. And he says, so there is no Batson violation, drawing a line under the Batson colloquy at that point, and then shifting to the other issues, meaning that fair cross-section challenge I spoke of.
Could we interpret at some point from the defense counsel as an indication that she was preparing or prepared to make the showing and she was asking the court for the opportunity to do so?
Justice Jackson, yes, I think that is the fair reading and an unmistakable reading of this record.
It does indicate that she was suggesting that she would like to do something. It wasn't as though she felt as though the Batson objection was already or at least her arguments were perfected. And it sounds to me from the transcript that the trial court was cutting her off, was not giving her a chance,
yes,
was maybe mistakenly saying that it had already been done.
Yes, Justice Jackson, if I could pick up on that last point, I think the cold record here, and it is a cold record we're working with, of course, indicates that if you look at page 168 in the JA in terms of that initial colloquy when the Batson challenge is raised and then Miller L is invoked, the judge is sort of reflecting a disorientation to what the Batson inquiry holds, which is 3 steps. He is speaking to the race-neutral proffers that, correctly are the second step. But he's unclear whether this goes to all of the stricken veneer members or just the black stricken veneer members on 168. And so you fast forward to the proffers that are put forward by the prosecutor, and you see in rapid fire within a page the finding race neutral, race neutral, race neutral, race neutral. Let's return to striking the jury, and the court instructs the defense to continue the peremptory strikes. And so at the first moment where there is an opportunity to speak to this, defense counsel returns to the issue and seeks to be heard on it. And as noted, is told 3 times in a row, it's clear in the record.
Nicole, I want to start with you. I mean, this is the thing that people have, that just jumps out. The fact that the same prosecutor, the same judge in this previous case are being challenged here. I mean, this is the stuff that black defendants have had to deal with for a very long time, of these white prosecutors, especially in the South, striking black jurors because of race.
And what's dangerous here is the precedent that this will set for the entire country. If the court accepts this so-called ridiculous race-neutral argument, even though the numbers clearly show that black jurors were excluded in a very black state, then the right to a fair jury is just meaningless at this point, which is supposed to be a pillar of the American democracy, but we might as well just throw that in the trash because we see that the numbers here don't show that these strikings were race neutral at all.
You know, we sit here and we watch these things, Avis, and we watch these things happen. And when people say, well, racism is not real, well, here's the whole deal. Why are you striking black people? Are you saying that black people can't render a decision involving a black defendant? Again, this is at the heart of racism. This is also why I try to explain to people. I love it when people say, well, listen, we can't be a racist country. We've had a black president. Well, it ain't like racism just left the criminal justice system because Thurgood Marshall first became a Supreme Court justice.
Absolutely not. This is, once again, it's colorblind racism, and it's not even colorblind. This is exactly what this nation has done since the beginning of this nation. When has it not done this, particularly in terms of putting into place very carefully manicured juries, particularly when we're talking about black defendants and in overwhelmingly black spaces, that we have a very long history of that. So just the unmitigated gall to even make this sort of case here and this assumption that by excluding black jurors, you're somehow, I guess, I don't even understand how. It's beyond logic to me around how you can make a race-neutral argument when you have race-specific effects like this. It's crazy. But we'll just have to see what the SCOTUS comes up with, because we know who is on the Supreme Court right now, which unfortunately gives me a lot to worry about, because they've made it very, very clear that they do not have our best interest at heart, and they definitely do not have justice at heart when it comes to the needs and the rights of black people and women.
Mustafa, we make this point over and over and over again. And that is, when we're talking about these cases, when we're talking about how do you impact criminal justice reform, people spend lots of time focusing on federal laws, state laws, but the people who are at the heart of fairness in our justice system are the DAs. And when you get fair prosecutors who are going to do things the right way, that's when you have a much fairer system, which now means you've got to elect more progressive DAs. And this is why the MAGA folk, that's why they slap Soros-funded DA. They want to slap the name on everyone because they do not want fair DAs who are not going to cheat, who are not going to use race. That's why they hate progressive district attorneys.
Yeah, you hit it on the head. And again, that's why our vote is so incredibly important. If we want to begin to balance out the justice system, if we want to begin to make sure that there's more fairness in that system, then we've got to vote the right types of individuals in. And then we have, of course, hold them accountable. And we've got to continue to push until, we cleanse this justice system, which is built with all kinds of imbalances and disproportionate impacts that happen in there. And then hopefully, the Justice Initiative, which has talked about these issues and done some studies. In 2010, North Carolina had a study, 50% of eligible black jury members, were struck. We can begin to make sure that those numbers are, lowered and lowered, and then hopefully one day in this country completely eliminated. But it all starts with our vote. We know what the studies tell us. We know the lived experience of many people in our communities. And we also know the power of our vote. So we just have to decide if we're going to utilize it in a way where we change systems. People are always saying, well, we can't change the system. Well, yeah, we can begin to modify systems. And our vote is a part of how we do that.
Absolutely. So, folks, we're going to go to break. We come back. In our next, in the second hour of the show, we're going to hear from a black woman who wants to become the Attorney General in Georgia. We talk about DAs, Attorney Generals are more important as well. Lots to talk about right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Virginia, we are counting on you. Republicans want to steal enough seats in Congress to rig the next election and wield unchecked power for 2 more years. But you can stop them by voting yes by April 21st. Help put our elections back on a level playing field and let voters decide, not politicians. This is the responsible thing to do. Help us chart a better path forward, Virginia. Vote yes by April 21st.
With medicine and science under attack, I want to keep you and your family informed and healthy. I'm Dr. Ebony Hilton, and I knew at the age of 8 that I wanted to be a doctor. So I studied hard and became the first African-American female anesthesiologist hired at the Medical University of South Carolina since its opening in 1824. And I always say I was made into a doctor, but I was born to be a mom. And as a new mom, wife, sister, daughter, and friend, I understand how frightening a medical crisis can be. I care for individuals on some of the worst days of their lives, and it's my mission to provide you with a safe space to gain clarity on issues affecting your mind, body, and soul. I recognize that there are health disparities, particularly as it pertains to race, and I want to help bridge the gap between you and your healthcare providers. Join me every Thursday for Second Opinion on the Black Star Network, where each week I'll invite experts from various medical fields to share the latest health news. We'll discuss topics such as the vaccine debate, mental and sexual health, medical bias, infertility, menopause, andropause, nutrition, and aging. Together with my medical colleagues, we aim to provide you with a second opinion. Don't miss it, Thursdays only on the Black Star Network.
Hello, I'm Marissa Mitchell, a news anchor at Fox 5 DC.
Hey, what's up? It's Tammy Roman, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
The U.S. Army has suspended an air crew after military helicopters flew over musician Kid Rock's Tennessee home over the weekend. On Saturday, Kid Rock shared a video showing one helicopter hovering while another flew nearby. The Army later confirmed that the aircraft involved were an AH-64 Apache helicopters operating in the Nashville area and stated that appropriate actions would be taken if any violations were found. The helicopters had flown from Fort Campbell in Kentucky to Nashville. In response to the incident, the Army issued the following statement. Army aviators must adhere to strict safety standards, professionalism, and established flight regulations. An administrative review is underway to assess the mission and verify compliance with regulations and airspace requirements. Officials say the flights were not related to Nashville's No Kings protest and were entirely coincidental. The investigation into the matter is ongoing. Yeah, see what happens when you dumbass Kid Rock? When you share a video because idiots choose to do a flyby by your house? Yeah. Folks, since the twice impeached, criminally convicted felon-in-chief Donald the Con Man Trump took office, we've all seen the job market take a massive plunge due to his harmful policies. No group has suffered more than black women. Nouveau Strategies has just completed the report called The Ultimate Overcomers, Black Women in Business in the Anti-DEI Era. That's on behalf of the Araminta Project. The report details the impacts of Trump's policies on some of the nation's top black women business owners. The report found 53% of black women entrepreneurs in the study reported losing contracts or clients, with 70% of black women-owned business owners reporting losses of $100,000 or more in revenue. 54% reporting losses between $100,000 and $500,000, and 47% reported difficulty retaining or paying existing staff. 60% of black women business owners in the study reported losing at least 25% of their revenue, 22% loss of more than half of their revenue due to Trump's policy shifts. 68% experienced revenue declines that led to delays or the outright cancellation of planned business growth. Nick Colbert-Johnson, founder of Bold Collective and the Araminta Project, joins us now, along with Dr. Avis Jones-DeWeaver, principal of Nouveau Strategies, co-chair of the Araminta Project. All right, glad to have you all here. Let's first start with you, Nick. So what I'm always talking about, how we have to connect the dots. And so for people to understand when we talk about the economy, the reality is there are two buckets. There's corporate bucket and there's government bucket. Government is federal, state, county, city, school district in terms of contracts. And so what people also don't understand, though, is when you talk about government dollars, it's contracts, it's grants. Those grants impact nonprofits. And those nonprofits, guess what? They have workers, employees, but they have vendors. Same thing when you talk about contracts. And so when Trump comes in and they are attacking, Doge is coming in, they're just slashing and burning. People didn't understand that, sure, you may have a business, you're not in corporate America, but the entire downflow, your business, your employees, their families, kids who are in private school, kids who are in college, the things that you fund, your church donations, your nonprofit donations, there's an entire downflow that is impacted by what took place last year. And that is a massive, massive attack on what I call the defunding of Black America.
Roland, you're not wrong. Thank you so much for having us. What you described is an economic ecosystem, and at the heart of our ecosystem are small businesses. We know that they are the heartbeat of America, but I think what makes this so dramatic is that large businesses have a lot of lobbying efforts that really volley for them. The small businesses, we are very decentralized, and so it's harder to really quantify the impact. So I'm really proud with the introduction of the Araminta Project. We are looking at the last year and this very intentional impact on DEI. We know that that is code and it is very specific for a particular demographic, Black people, particularly Black women. But what this data shows is that there has been, while there's been dramatic impact, economic impact to this ecosystem, and yes, you're absolutely right that there is a downwind. What we have also seen is it was very important not to just have the impact, but to respond. I am a graduate of Howard University School of Law. I was a litigator for the first third of my career. And while I became an entrepreneur within the last 20 years, my sleeping giant litigator never went to sleep. My old professor, a contracts professor, Warner Lawson, started Contracts 101 with damages. How do you prove harm? You cannot prove it without damages. And what the Araminta Project has done is take the best performing businesses in the country, small businesses in the country, and looked at the direct impact that these anti-DEI, anti-Black policies had on this high-performing. These are not set-asides. These are not people that are just coming into business. They have been in business for 5 to 30 years. They have FTEs of all races, all genders, all around the country and the world. And to be able to have this aggregate data is very powerful to say that there was a direct correlation and harm by these policies. I am very proud to say not only do we have the data, we also show the other side of this was, as we always do, we are not just impacted. We will not just take things lying on our back. we were able to pivot, to adjust. We didn't go out of business. What we did was we took the community that we built, we started doing business with one another. We started giving loans to one another. This was what we are saying is the both and strategy. Yes, there was harm, but there was also a way that we could take and be agile and adjust, as most, if not all, entrepreneurs do.
I kept saying when the attacks to DEI were going on, I kept saying to black folk, be careful. What I mean by that is, I think a lot of people did not understand all of it. So you had folks like, oh, we don't care about DEI because that's white women having the jobs anyway. I kept saying, no, y'all need to shut the hell up. There's a difference between DEI jobs and the DEI infrastructure. The DEI infrastructure was what were all the things that were placed underneath that DEI banner. That's where contracting, that's where grants, that's where HBCU funding, that's where nonprofit funding was taking place. A year ago, shortly after the inauguration, Susan Taylor tells me a major sponsor, a week before her National Cares Mentoring Gala, says, yeah, we're not doing it. Many of the black people who she was talking to, who were in corporate America, they were wiped out, gone in that period. And so people didn't understand there's a difference between a DEI job in a company and the DEI infrastructure that was driving business. And in the case of the federal government, when it came to Trump and Elon Musk, they just saw, oh, black company, I'm sticking you under DEI.
Precisely. And you know, what's really powerful, as Nick was mentioning, these are black women-owned businesses that had been in the game, were very successful. Collectively, this elite group of business owners earned some $1.7 billion in revenue prior to the onset of these actions. So I want you to understand the size and the scope and the power of these businesses. These are the best of the best. And I want you to understand that it's not just the business owners who are impacted, as you alluded to. It is their employees. It is their employees' families. I mean, this impacts entire communities when the best of our businesses are hurt in this way. However, the beauty about this report is that we focus also on the overcomers, those people who are able, even in the midst of this storm, to grow their businesses by 20% or more in revenue. And they did it by looking inward, by looking into one another, by figuring out how can we work together in partnership, or how can we work together in other ways to in terms of having each other as clients, in order to make sure that our businesses not only stay alive in this new moment, but how can we find a way to thrive in this moment? So that's the beauty to me of this report, is that we not only tell the story of how we've been negatively impacted, and I believe in many ways with surgical precision. In addition to that, we have been creative, we have been powerful, we have been looking inward in terms of how we can lift one another up, and we are rising together. To me, that is the beauty of what we found here.
Nick, the point there, and again, a year ago, when we talked about this, I said we have to take lessons from what happened before. In fact, there's a book I have that's dropping, it's coming out in February 2027 on this very issue. And I was literally saying to someone today in discussing the book that if you study the history of black people in this country, there's never been a period of black success that was not followed by white backlash. And what I said is the mistake that we make is when people believe that you can't learn a lesson from before. I said if you study every single one of those periods, when you had black success followed by white backlash, during the period of white backlash, that's when black people, in essence, circled the wagons. That's when black people said we have to move. It definitely reinforced the notion we have to move as a collective. We have to begin to say, how do we do business with one another? How do we share? How do we share ideas and share resources? Oh, we're losing homes. Folks moving in together. Hey, I have an available place you can stay. All those things that come from moving as a collective. And I believe that absolutely we're in that same space. I have been saying to business owners, I have been saying to black organizations, to nonprofits, that if there's a moment where black people have to recognize that we must, yes, do for self, support one another, support black-owned businesses, it's even more important now because the thug down the street is going to be there until January 2029. We know they are trying to destroy the infrastructure, and so it is even more paramount for folk to recognize that we have to be working with one another in this moment, taking that $1.5, $1.6, $1.7 trillion spending power and turning it inward as much as we possibly can.
Absolutely. As if on cue, the community that we have built, so we like, know, and trust each other, $1.7 billion in revenue. That's industry agnostic. I'm a land developer. We have business consultants. We have IT specialists. When you spend a certain amount of time surrounding yourself with people that are not just revenue generating and out for self, but really value the mindset of coming together, you have something special. Now we have over 350 women in 4 years. That's thousands of employees, more than 30 states that are now acting with intention, not only giving each other business. The nonprofit is doing business with our own subcontractors, pouring back into our own ecosystem $4 million. So in this last year, we really did do what you said we have learned from the past. I am very aware of not only the legal history that precedes us. I do see Black economics where we have in time tried to come together, Black Wall Street, and those are my paradigms. What I do want everyone to know is we're not on one street. We're not in one community. We are all around the world, not only doing business together, also aggregating how we go to market together. We're also aggregating how we can go and acquire other businesses. We're in the process of doing a $52 million acquisition IT to future-proof all of our professional service businesses. And then next year, 2027, this group is going international with intention. We are going beyond the borders because we know in different countries in Africa, continents want to do business with exceptional businesses. And when you bring together exceptionalism and have a specific intentionality about going forward, that is the hope of the bow. That is the hope and the reality of what it means to come together for economic impact. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that this is a both and, not an either or. We're going to come together and we are going to look at our rights. That is what the Araminta Project is looking at, not only policy, because that may be a longer term plan, but we are raising money for a legal defense fund because we have the damages and we have the law. And Dr. Avis is also, we are looking at counsel to explore our very, very literal race discrimination claims now that we can show indirect and disparate impact as a result of these policies.
Well, before I go to questions from my panel, on the point that you made there, and I'm trying to remember. So it was in February when I was honored by the Bow Collective. But when I gave y'all awards, the member who did the most business with members in the last year? Was
32
it 32?
I believe it's 32.
Right.
And
So
I'll give a shout out
she.
to Allegra Hall.
Go ahead. Say it again.
I'm going to give a shout out to Allegra Hall. She is a media strategist, and she helped several members who were very excellent, whether they were in IT or development, hone their messaging, and they were able to help her business raise, in addition to her helping strengthen their media message.
And so I said I raised that because that stood out because again it's called intentionality. It is no different than when we were building this studio. Henry, give me a wide shot. The thing for me was this desk that we're sitting at was built by a black set designer. Come on, give me a wide shot. So then when you talk about lighting, when you talk about artwork, give me a shot at the green screen. This green screen that we have in here, that was actually a black drape company. We had them on the show and they made drapes and it's kind of like, yo, that's not it. Give me a shot of, give me a shot at the green screen. Black drape company. And so the thing for me is like, yo, we have black talent. We have black companies that do things, so you have to be intentional, and that to me is where businesses have to be operating in this space. How do we say, yo, we are working with one another? Mustafa, your question.
Well, it's great to see both of you. You know, I'm interested. We have some folks who've been pushed to the sidelines. Will education also be a strong component of the work that you all will be focusing on, helping folks, again, to understand all these vast sets of opportunities that still exist?
Absolutely. If I could answer that two ways. For the last 4 years, the collective has really been insulated in bringing economic opportunities, yes, education to take advanced level businesses to the next level where they are objectively in a position to scale their business or sell their business. In 2026, we are bringing on the Bow Institute. Those are for startup, non-Bow businesses. We want to build a pipeline. We are also, we do not lack the knowledge that over 300,000 best-in-class Black women professionals have been displaced. We see that as an opportunity. I'm always a glass half full girl. Come with us, girl. We are going to put together the blueprint on how to put together a successful contracting business, a successful IT business. You've done it for 20 years. Let us show you the format and help connect you with solid business practices in order to get your business started up. So education, absolutely. I want to take this in another direction. Finally, people don't know we exist. People do not know that there are multi-million-dollar Black women business all around the country that are job creators. We think of only a few. God bless Oprah, Sheila Johnson, but there are multi-million-dollar IT business owners. There are multi-million-dollar construction management firms. That needs to be the education too, because when you don't see us, you think we're mythical. We absolutely are here grinding every day, not only in our businesses, but in our community, starting our own nonprofits, filling in our church. So it is important that with the Araminta Project, with the Bow Collective, that we step out and be unafraid, because we are best in class. We were not given anything. The fact that there is 1% of us and we all know each other, it is incumbent upon us to not be so afraid that we go into hiding. We're going to come out with the education of the facts, as well as a proactive strategy about how to protect our losses, protect against future losses that were and still are discriminatory. So those are the 3 or 4 areas that I believe education is critically important.
Nicole?
Roland, I loved your point about white backlash because that is exactly how we ended up here with Trump. And as we all know, if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it, which is why research like this is so important so we can fight in the courts and know what we're working with. So can you all talk a little bit more about the legal fund? I think that's what you called it and what your plans are for that.
Sure. And Avis, I think if you could just say that we are absolutely starting, we are kicking off the report. We start with data first. We wanted to do a comprehensive intel. We had more than 100 businesses around the countries in red states and blue states that were discriminated. And it wasn't just the impact, it wasn't just the executive orders. It was also the chilling effect on corporate America. They didn't know if it was legal or not, but we're going to be on the safe side and we're not going to do business with you. That's discriminatory because if everything is equal and the only reason you're not doing business with me, that's a prima facie litigator, that's a prima facie case of discrimination. And so Avis, can you please tell them how we have started to secure taking that research and putting our team together?
Absolutely. So that was really, honestly, one of the reasons why we wanted to make sure that we had this data together, right? And so that what really honestly, Roland just mentioned that he was at our last conference. The conference before that, this came as an inspiration when Nick just asked the question, how many of you in the room have been impacted by what just occurred? This was in February. All of this started happening in January. The very first day he took office was the very first day that he started signing executive orders that would specifically hurt our businesses as well as many employees throughout the federal sphere, right? And so I sat there and looked around me and saw just it looked as if it was about 3/4 of the room whose hand came up. And as a researcher to the core, I'm like, we have to capture this, right? And so at the end of the day, this is the outcome of it. But the goal of this here is to do several things through the Araminta Project. It is to be an organization that can provide hard-hitting, empirically based research that shows what Black women businesses are experiencing in the moment around policy issues, to be an arm for policy advocacy, but to also be an arm for legal advocacy as well, because we do believe that significant and specific harm was done to our businesses. And we believe that this is a moment not to shrink in fear, but this is a moment to fight.
Before we go, Nick, speak to this issue here, and that is we have a significant number of our businesses. People are retiring. And, you know, I keep telling people everything is not about starting your own business. There's an opportunity to literally acquire. And so you have business owners who are older, folk maybe looking to sell. These are cash flow positive businesses. We need to be thinking about that as well. And so, to your point, if you're raising money, if you have the ability to be able to say, hey, we got someone who can acquire someone else's firm, or somebody who's literally looking to just acquire something, this is what you do. I think we make a huge mistake where it's always about, let me start something. You can buy something that's already existing, that's, again, cash flow positive, and then take it further.
You got it. So that is a part of, one of our main pillars is that we want to grow these businesses from sustainable to scalable businesses. And then when they are sustainable through the nonprofit, we come over to our for-profit enterprise and say, hey, now we are in the position that we can take you to the next level, invest in you, or our fund do the exact same thing by bringing our own capital to the table, number one. Number two, I know that there is going to be a great transfer of wealth that is focused on women. We're focused on those successful Black woman-owned businesses that are looking for succession. Come to the Bow, come to Bow Enterprises, because we can basically be your legacy plan. You do not have to just go out of business. In fact, in our organization, that is not an option. Whether you are starting or at the end, we want them to have an intentional end. And that acquisition model is in the DNA of our membership. We absolutely want them to sell it to us so that it can stay in-house and then flourish on the other side. But Roland, we are just committed to seeing the glass as half full by using our collective resources, by being innovative about how we bring capital to our own businesses, and then how we really combat on that third pillar is that we're going to fight on the offensive. We know that a lot of these policies have been taken to the court where they have proof of damages. And so I want your viewers to know that we are the both and out here, and we're who we're looking for. We're not looking to the left. We're not looking for anybody to come and save us. We're going to roll up our sleeves and just fight on. I am so empowered. I feel so encouraged that we have all of this that started with just the idea of let's come together, get to like, know, and trust each other. And now, less than 5 years later, we have this tremendous ecosystem that is going to fight back.
Well, I'll say this here. I have made this point that there are a lot of Black business groups out there that are, there's a phrase we have in Texas, all hat, no cattle. They meet, they talk, they meet, they talk, they plan to meet and talk. And I've made it clear you got to actually be doing something. And I'm just not interested. And I've made it clear, don't invite me to another talk session. If you don't have anything that's actually proactive and moving the ball forward, I just don't have any interest in listening to those folks. And so what y'all doing is critically important, and results, that's what it boils down to, results, how you deliver results. And so certainly good luck with it, and we look forward to getting more information and more positive results in the future.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having us.
All right, thanks a lot. Quick break, we come back. My next guest wants to be the next Attorney General of the state of Georgia. We'll chat with her on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Why does it feel like we're going backward? Voting rights under attack, schools stripped of funding, Black history erased. This is the Trump MAGA agenda. They want to take us back. They are redrawing congressional lines in states across the country, deciding who gets power and who gets silenced. We see what this is, a power grab. Virginians won't be fooled. Show up, vote, take back our power. It's a temporary measure that gives the people, not politicians, the final say. Vote yes by April 21st.
Hey, yo, what's up? This is Mr. Dalvin right here. What's up? This is KC. Sitting here representing the JODECI, that's Jodeci. Right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered.
So, folks, you heard us talking about local DAs and why those races matter. Well, the same thing happens on the state level. Georgia State Representative Tanya Miller is campaigning to be the Democratic nominee for Attorney General to become the first Black woman to hold the office in Georgia. If elected, she would make history as the first woman of color to serve as Georgia's Attorney General. When you look at right now, you have Black Attorneys General in, let me get them all right, we got Massachusetts, we've got Illinois, we've got Nevada, we've got Maryland, and I know I'm leaving somebody out. I know there's another one I'm leaving out. I'm trying to think. I'm leaving somebody out. All right. I guarantee you, Tanya knows, y'all. The primary is May 19th. She faces, first of all, Tanya also chaired the Georgia House Democratic Caucus. She joins us right now. Glad to have you here. So, who did I leave out? I know I left somebody out.
New York.
Yes, New York. I'm like, my goodness. I was sitting there going like, I know there's a fifth. I'm sitting there going, there's a fifth.
Yes.
Again, for people who don't understand, you know, we spend a lot of time obviously talking about, you know, governor. People hear about lieutenant governor, but the attorney general has really two positions that I said to people all the time are really two important statewide positions: Secretary of State, elections, and Attorney General. And especially when we see in these lawsuits of states attorneys general filing suits in so many different cases.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And it's really remarkable, Roland, when you look at sort of the era of Trump 2.0 and where's the biggest resistance, the most robust pushback coming from? It is coming from Democratic AGs from across the country. They have filed over 100. I think they just filed their 100th lawsuit, I think. But they have been successful in 80% of the lawsuits they have filed, challenging, the withholding of SNAP aid and benefits, education funding, stoppages coming from the federal government, challenging ICE. We got Minnesota, I think we left out. Minnesota's AG, who has been fighting back hard on the excesses we are seeing from ICE agents to tariffs. And so many more things, right? It has been the pushback on Trump, but it has also been a lot of really affirmative, pro-consumer, pro-community policies that we are seeing coming from Democratic AGs all across the country.
And of course, there are 6, Minnesota Keith Ellison, so there's 6.
Right. Yeah.
Not only that, you look at this Nexstar lawsuit, attorneys general filing suit there. We see this. And look, when Biden was president, it was the state attorneys general filing lawsuits when it came to student loans. So what you're seeing now are folks who now understand that the attorney general has a lot more power and jurisdiction than historically we've associated with that position.
And you know what is so ironic about this moment? You're absolutely right. What we see, these Dem AGs, a lot of them African-American AGs all across this country are going to court and they are championing states' rights. We know that states' rights is a concept that has historically not been associated with good things coming to our community. Of course, it was used during Jim Crow and segregation to justify the treatment of minorities in southern states. A guise for discrimination is how it has often been viewed. But the interesting and ironic twist on states' rights is that these democratically elected AGs, many of them African-American, many of them African-American women, well, I won't say many, but a critical number of them African-American women, we could use some more, have been using this doctrine of states' rights in addition to other legal doctrines to defend the rule of law in their states, to protect citizens from federal government overreach, the overreach we have seen coming from the Trump administration, and they have been doing it successfully. So it has really been an extraordinary thing to witness. The legal expertise, the collaboration that we see happening with these AGs, not only with each other, but with the governors and with respective interest groups, all in the name of defending our liberties, defending the rule of law, and fighting for working families all across this country.
Questions from my panel. We'll let the lawyer go first, Nicole.
Well, thank you for joining us today, and we're rooting for you up here in the District of Columbia. I wanted to know how you're fighting against stigmas behind racism and sexism. I know Black women have a difficult time winning statewide races across the country. And when we hear Georgia, we think about Stacey Abrams, and all over the place, even in Texas, Black women are struggling sometimes. So can you talk about your approach to this and how your campaign might be a little bit different?
Well, that is such a profound question. It is honestly, Nicole, a question I struggled with. We were very raw after the 2024 election here in Georgia, with Madam Vice President losing this state by approximately 115,000 votes, about 1%. We could have easily brought her across the finish line, but for our dip in turnout, particularly within the Black community. So this is something that we have been studying. We have been doing the postmortem on. We have been grieving and mourning, especially Black women, right? That is not anything new. But listen, this is sort of my view on things. As we are sitting around, and I've heard Roland talk about this on the show, I've heard him talk about this publicly and in front of audiences, that the question is, what are you going to do in this moment? We all understand the assignment. We see what is happening. We see the pushback on voting rights. We see the racism coming from the Trump administration. We see the misogyny. We see the hatred of immigrants, all of this stuff coming. What are we going to do about it? And at the end of the day, for me, what I'm going to do about it is not talk about it, but get in the ring and fight for it. And so it's up to God ultimately and the voters whether or not they believe that my qualifications have prepared me for this job. I certainly believe it. And I don't think it has been in our cultural experience as Black folks in America to give up simply because we've had setbacks. And so I don't embrace that energy. I think every election has its own ethos. The South is particularly unique in the vote share that Black people have. I think Black people make up about 34% of the voting population here in Georgia, one of the highest in the country. So I'm going to bet on the people. I'm going to put my mind, my heart, my talent, my experience where my mouth is. And we're going to have a contest. And at the end of this contest, one or two things will happen. You know, we will either be successful or we won't. But I'm certainly not going to let the prospect of losing a contest on behalf of the people, on behalf of what is right for the people in this moment, because I'm afraid to lose.
Mustafa.
Representative Miller, I'm glad that you brought the people into the conversation, because often inside the Beltway, folks are out of touch with what's going on across the country. Can you share a little bit about what the people are asking you to focus on?
Well, you know what? There is some, and what I have been intentional about, Mufasa, in this campaign, we started out on the coast. We started in the Black Belt. I, of course, reside in Atlanta. I represent portions of South Atlanta and South Fulton County. But we didn't start in Fulton County. We didn't start in the metro area. We started in rural Georgia, talking to voters from outside of this community, listening to those voices, the ones that don't always get heard. And you hear some similarities, but you hear some differences. There are significant challenges in rural Georgia, not just for Black folks, but for working people. We have hospitals closing. I think we've had up to 11 since Republicans have been in control of all branches of government here in the state. Folks are worried about health care. They're worried about the price of their groceries. They're worried about income inequality and the wealth gap that continues to spread. They are worried about housing, and they are worried about democracy. They are worried about the right to vote and whether or not we are going to stand up and stand 10 toes down on the right to vote. So, rural communities have different challenges. Even the education challenges are different. Transporting kids to school is different. They, of course, get hit harder by natural disasters. So they are struggling with price gouging and dealing with insurance companies who are refusing to pay valid claims. But at the end of the day, I think the through line for all folks is that they want to see people elected in office who care about them, who see them, and who are dead set on representing them no matter what, against politics, against profitable corporations, against the powerful, someone who is going to stand up and give voice to what is happening in their communities, including justice issues that are somewhat unique down in places like Valdosta, where we had the Kendrick Johnson case and other cases tragic like that, where these communities are still dealing with the question of, was justice done? These are real things happening all across the state. And so, you get a little bit of difference, but by and large, they are concerned with their health, their prosperity, and their safety, and whether or not we're going to continue to have a democracy in this state and in this country.
Avis.
No, this is a moment in which we are facing an existential threat to our democracy, and particularly Georgia. This is a state that it seems that this president has really put in the crosshairs in terms of doing everything that he can to disenfranchise your citizens. And so I'm wondering, in the position of Attorney General, how do you see yourself working to protect your citizens, protect their right to vote, protect their ability to be able to participate in this democracy and have their voices heard?
Absolutely. You know, I think it's two primary things. Obviously, the biggest tool in the toolbox of an attorney general, whether it's in Georgia or anywhere else, is the ability to go to court. In Georgia, our Constitution gives that to the attorney general on behalf of the state. So the attorney general is the chief legal officer, it's the chief law enforcement officer of the state. The attorney general represents the governor, represents the secretary of state, represents the elections board. We essentially are the legal representative and the legal voice for state government. So I view, and you use existential, and I think that is the perfect word for it. And when I talk to people about the right to vote, for me, look, I'm a Black woman. I am a granddaughter of the South. My people hail from Mississippi and Alabama. And at the end of the day, this is a fight that I will literally take to the grave. There is nothing more important to me, to my community, to any and every citizen than the right to vote. And so that means when the FBI shows up with a search warrant, with a trumped up search warrant to steal 700 original ballots because Trump lost Fulton County and he cannot get over that 5 years, 6 years later, past the statute of limitations for any viable criminal offense, we got to take him to court. And we have to do it fast. And so it is taking the government and taking anybody to court and using the full force of the law without fear and without favor to anyone. And it is being ultimately a voice. You guys use his platform. Roland uses his platform to influence, to inform, to inspire. Well, leaders ought to do that too. When you get elected, your job is not to retreat to your office. Your job is to stay out front, talking to the people, talking to the public, championing the issues that matter to them and hopefully matter to you. And so those are the two things that I see primarily that the attorney general can do: take anybody and everybody to court who tries to suppress and keep people from exercising the vote that gives birth to all other rights, the right to vote that gives birth to all other rights, and then constantly keeping this at the forefront in the conversation, the social, the cultural, the political conversation that is happening in Georgia, in the Southeast, and all across the country.
All right, folks, May 19th is primary day. Pull the graphic up, please. Tanya Miller facing off against Robert Trammell for the Democratic nomination for Attorney General in Georgia. Representative Miller, we're glad to have you on the show. Thanks so much. Good luck.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, folks, going to a break. We come back. Our ShopBlackStarNetwork.com marketplace segment. Back in a moment.
Virginia, we are counting on you. Republicans want to steal enough seats in Congress to rig the next election and wield unchecked power for 2 more years. But you can stop them by voting yes by April 21st. Help put our elections back on a level playing field and let voters decide, not politicians. This is the responsible thing to do. Help us chart a better path forward, Virginia. Vote yes by April 21st.
Hey, this is Motown recording artist Kim. You are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. That boy, he always unfiltered though. I ain't never known him to be filtered. Is there another way to experience Roland Martin than to be unfiltered? Of course he's unfiltered. Would you expect anything less? Watch what happens next.
Here we go, folks. From living in a homeless shelter as a child to being featured in Oprah Magazine's 2020 Favorite Things, the creator of Valencia Key Jewelry is truly living the dream. Leah Valencia, the founder of Valencia Key Jewelry, believes that her brand is not just about fashion, it's about giving back and inspiring others. She actively donates to and educates women in homeless shelters, teaching them how to overcome challenging circumstances. She joins us right now. How you doing?
Hi.
So honored and excited to be here, Roland.
I'm glad that you are here. So, okay, first of all, so where did this love of jewelry come from?
Yeah. Well, my mother was paralyzed by fear. A brilliant woman, but generational poverty curses. And we landed in a homeless shelter. But in that time, she told me that my predicament doesn't determine my destiny. And those powerful words kind of lived within me. And then I kept going, and then she started to see me follow my environment. And she then told me that I could follow my inner light, or I could follow what's around me and become what's around me. And I started to choose that inner light. And right before she passed at such an early age. She gave me these earrings, and she said, Leah, wear your earrings every day. Let them be a reminder every time you put them on that there is a light inside of you. Let that click, or when you see them in the mirror, be that wearable reminder that you always have the light within. All you have to do is choose it. And that created my love of jewelry that could be symbolic and could be inspiring reminders as you go through life that you don't have to succumb to your predicament. You can choose the light of your destiny.
And so what did you do? Did you start designing your own? And was it just a matter of, you just, playing around, mixing and mingling? I mean, how did that begin?
Yeah, so it's funny. I started to hand sketch jewelry. So everything in my creation line, Valencia means bravery and courage, and Key, as we know, is that tool that unlocks. So Valencia Key, to me, is this wearable of unlocking the bravery and courage within you. So I would hand sketch these jewelry pieces. I mean, I'm from poverty, so I didn't know that you could create your own business. Honestly, I was hand sketching just for my own inspiration. And I found myself working for QVC as a hair and makeup artist. And in that environment, I was able to style business owners. And I got to see these women business owners having a dream and having a true intention that was intangible, and taking that intangible mission and pouring it to something tangible, and it becoming life-changing in the receiver's hands. And every person that I styled would say, oh, you have so much light, just come along with me. And then I start to think about my sketch jewelry and what my mother used to say, and seeing this inspiration of business owners in front of me. I said, well, I have a mission to bring something to the world that can inspire other people, that if I'm coming from homelessness and poverty, then whatever your dreams are, it's a reminder that you can unlock your destiny within. So that's when I started to hand sketch. Googled how to manufacture hand sketch designs. Google gave me, oh, you have to get it 3D CAD design. And I just started to research. I even traveled overseas to meet manufacturers in person to get my very first piece created, which is this Synergy necklace. And from there, people that I used to style just said, I want to wear your pieces, because when you're not around me, I want to feel that energy. And that's how Valencia Key really start to take its wings and start to soar.
All right, so I got a couple of pieces here. So explain to me these. And this looks like a bracelet here.
Yes. So the first piece that you held up, the limitless hoop earrings. Okay, they're my number one loves. They were the ones featured. Yes, the ones you're shaking. They were the ones featured in O's favorite magazine. These always sell out. I created them when anyone gets them home. There's sparkle crystals from the outside all the way to the inside. And it reminds me of life, that your life is full of limitless, infinite light. All you have to do is choose it. So my prayer is, when everyone wears these limitless Valencia Key hoops, that you're clicking on that reminder that whatever setbacks, whatever challenges, whatever obstacles, you can find the key within you to unlock the light that will surpass shattered glass ceilings and take you to your destiny.
All right, then. Let's go. Questions from the panel. Let's see. Ava, you first.
Oh my goodness. I'm just falling in love with your story. I just think it is so beautiful. I really, it just moved me so much. And I think about the beautiful energy that your mother gave you, that you were able to now create these pieces of art that you sell as jewelry, but I will call pieces of art, that people can get a little bit of the legacy of her beauty in terms of what she was able to give you. When you think about what your pieces represent, given your mother's powerful words to you, do you feel like it's like a little bit of her lives on through your pieces?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for seeing that. I honestly think because she had so much beauty within her and so much light that was encapsulated and hardened by her predicament, that she was able to speak those words into my life. And now I am honored to take her light and shine it into the world and allow her words and legacy to inspire so many people across the nation and even global, that your predicament doesn't have to paralyze you by fear. You can choose to unlock it. And every time people wear them, it's wearing a reminder of her light and that it is possible to see dreams come true. It's a physical embodied witness. I even take the mission of Valencia Key beyond jewelry. I go to schools and I speak on the power of the energy within. And I'm even working on a affordable housing project in Philadelphia, where I lived in poverty neighborhood of Philadelphia up until I was 40, and I'm only 46, so that was 6 years ago. And I'm taking what Valencia Key is affording me and bringing it to the community to build affordable housing and clean up that neighborhood that I once lived in. So it's a light that will change not just the individual that wears it, but it will change a community and individuals who need the inspiration of what's possible.
I love it.
Nicole.
Well, listen, if you ever have any extra jewelry you need to get off your hands, give me a call. I'm here.
Roland, send it out pieces, please.
No. I'm going to send Nicole to shopblackstarnetwork.com to buy some pieces.
Serious.
You know what? That's fair. That's fair. But no, seriously, I love that you give your jewelry out to unhoused women. I think women at every socioeconomic background deserve to feel beautiful and shine on their own. So what inspired you to do that? And what are some of the reactions that you've received?
Well, I'm from homelessness. I lived in the homeless shelter up until I was, I believe, middle school, and then I went to a housing project. So I've been in poverty all of my life, my entire life. And I know what it means for someone to see me, and I know what it means to have something symbolic to remind you when no one else is around. Recently, I just went to a school in an impoverished neighborhood and spoke to fourth graders. And the young ladies, I had my bracelets dripped all over me, and the baby girls, and I could just see so much possibility and light inside of them. And they were like, "You make jewelry?" And I took off each piece and I gave each baby girl a bracelet, and there's words that say hope, believe, become, joy, peace, faith. And those words will resonate in their life even when I'm not there. And so that's the ripple effect that I know Valencia Key will consistently unlock with all of you all's support.
Mustafa.
Well, sister, you have beautiful energy. I'm an energy person. When you first came, it just jumped off the screen. I love authenticity. Yeah, can you at the end of the day, what do you hope is the legacy of all that you're doing? I'm curious because I think that's important also, and it could be evolving as you go through your journey.
Yeah. Thank you, and I love your outfits. Amazing. Legacy is so important to me. I pray that Valencia Key leaves a ripple effect that outlasts my lifetime that's why I'm building these affordable, I'm working on, so I need support. Anyone that helps with subsidy of affordable housing, please help me with that, because I believe that it goes beyond me, meaning helping other generations bring up young poverty. And even, it's not an age disparity, it's a opportunity disparity, it's a mindset shift, it's giving someone something that they didn't know that they even had. And that's what I want Valencia Key to do in these many different ways. Give individuals that are disparaged, like myself, where I come from, the opportunity to get just a piece of light. Because once you give a little bit of light to someone, now they have the keys and they'll use it to consistently unlock it. And then that person will change another generation. And so it'll just be a consistent generational change of impact globally is my prayer.
Folks, if y'all want to get Valencia Key jewelry, do me a favor, go to shopblackstarnetwork.com. You see right there, she's rocking. Give me a shout. She's holding it up. She's rocking her own jewelry. If y'all want to check the jewelry out, go to shopblackstarnetwork.com. Go to our marketplace. Scroll it, please. You can check out right now. Scroll it, scroll it, scroll it. Thank you. There we go. Y'all see the jewelry right there on the website. So go to shopblackstarnetwork.com. Shopblackstarnetwork.com to check it out. And again, when you support her, pass the word. When you support her jewelry, you're supporting this Black-owned business. You're also supporting this show and network as well. So, Melissa, we certainly appreciate it. Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you. Thank you. Love y'all.
All right. Thank you so very much. Let me thank Avis, Mustafa, as well as Nicole for being on today's show. I certainly appreciate y'all being here. Thank you so very much. We're going to close everything out, y'all, with Black Star Network headlines with Brittany Noble.
A federal judge has ruled that President Donald Trump cannot continue construction on a large new ballroom planned for the former site of the White House's East Wing. U.S. District Judge Richard Leon granted the National Trust for Historic Preservation's request for a preliminary injunction, a nonprofit organization that filed a lawsuit alleging that Trump exceeded his authority by demolishing the historic East Wing and beginning construction without congressional approval. This decision by Leon, who Republican President George W. Bush appointed, puts the 90,000-square-foot ballroom project on hold while the lawsuit is ongoing. The National Trust sued Trump and several federal agencies in December after the administration demolished the East Wing, which was originally built in 1902 and expanded during Franklin Roosevelt's presidency to make way for what Trump has promised will be the finest ballroom in the country. John Legend, Keke Palmer, and Billy Porter are among the actors, artists, and musicians who signed a letter calling for the closure of the Dilley Immigration Processing Center in Texas. Nearly 200 other celebrities have also voiced their opposition to the ICE detention center. The letter highlights many reports of rotten food, contaminated water, dangerous medical neglect, and the treatment of children held at the center. It alleges that children held at the center have suffered from trauma, neglect, and conditions that violate basic standards of health, safety, dignity, and human rights. A Mississippi family is mourning the tragic loss of a mother after a pack of dogs fatally attacked her. 35-year-old Lakeisha Newsom, a mother of three, was mauled while walking along a highway in Holly Springs on March 27th. In connection with the incident, 54-year-old Sandra Harris has been arrested and charged with aggravated assault, which demonstrates extreme indifference to human life. But for Newsom's loved ones, the pursuit of justice feels incomplete. They're demanding answers as to why the dogs killed Newsom and how they have not been euthanized, raising serious concerns about public health and accountability. The Department of Education continues its investigation into the University of Alabama at Birmingham's partnership with the PhD Project, a nonprofit organization focused on diversifying doctoral programs in business. The focus of the investigation is on potential violations of the Title IV of the Civil Rights Act, particularly regarding those partnerships with organizations that may employ race-conscious criteria, offer race-based scholarships, or operate segregated programs. Title IV mandates equal educational opportunities for all individuals, regardless of race or ethnicity. The university stated its commitment to providing resources for all students, and it's cooperating with the department to ensure compliance with these regulations. Institutions found in violation of these policies may risk losing federal funding. And as a result of the similar federal inquiries, at least 31 universities all across the country have discontinued similar partnerships. The Young Women's Christian Association of McLean County in Illinois is shutting down its retired senior volunteer program after nearly 40 years of operation. Leaders of the organization say that this decision reflects changing federal priorities and the ongoing rollback of diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. The RSVP program connects hundreds of volunteers with various nonprofits each year, generating more than $1 million in community impact. But funding for the program, which comes from the AmeriCorps, has been affected by policy changes implemented during the Trump administration. YWCA leaders indicate that new federal regulations pressured them to modify their DEI language and signaled a shift in funding priorities, making it increasingly difficult to sustain the program. The RSVP grant, totaling about $65,000 with the state match, was used to support staffing and coordination efforts. Now, this program, it's scheduled to end in June. Bob Law, the broadcaster behind the groundbreaking political talk show Night Talk, has passed away. Throughout his career, spanning more than 50 years, Law was a vocal advocate for Black radio and consistently addressed issues important to the Black community. In 1981, he nationalized Night Talk through the National Black Network, making it the first live Black radio talk show to be broadcast nationwide. It was on Night Talk that the campaign Run Jesse Run was launched in 1984, and Law's journey into radio began with his activism. He served for field secretary for the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee before taking on a community affairs role at WWRL. That's where he eventually rose to program director. Bob Law was 86 years old.
All right, folks, don't forget to catch The Breakdown with Brittany Noble every day, noon Eastern, right here on the Black Star Network. Again, The Breakdown with Brittany Noble, our noon daily news show right here on the Black Star Network. Y'all, that is it for us. We appreciate everybody joining today's show. Don't forget, do us a great favor, support the work that we do. This show, the other 5 other shows on the Black Star Network. We are looking at expanding to other shows as well. But listen, it takes resources. And so when we ask for 20,000 fans contributing on average $50 each a year, that's $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. Listen, we make this show free and available. We don't hide it behind a paywall. We don't have you subscribe to Patreon for you to be able to access the account. And so we want to be able to make it widely available to as many people as possible. That's where your support is matter. Hey, real quick before I do that, last night I made a mistake. So when I was going through, I actually had some stuff that was mixed. So Woodrow Wilson was president before Herbert Hoover. Wilson preceded him. And I said Hoover, then Wilson. It was actually Wilson, 2 other presidents, and then Hoover. So that was a mistake I made last night. I just wanted to correct that. But again, we appreciate all of y'all who watch the show, but your donations are important, folks. Because, look, listen, we're not getting a lot of advertising money. We're not getting these corporations supporting us, these billionaires that supporting us. I'm telling you right now, I look at some of these other people, some of these progressive folks, look at these right-wingers, pulling down $3, $5, $10, $15 million in investment. That's not the case for us. We built this ground up, and we've had 37,179 donors. We're approaching 38,000, and so we could not do it without them, and so we need your support as well. If y'all want to contribute via Cash App, seriously, if you can't do $50, you could do 40, 35, 30, 25, 10, 15, 10, 5, $1. Hey, it all adds up. Use if you want to use Cash App, use a Stripe QR code. You see it right here. You can also use that for credit cards as well. Checks and money order, make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered. P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 2003 7-0196. PayPal's R Martin Unfiltered, Venmo RM Unfiltered, Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Samsung Smart TV. Be sure to get a copy of my book, White Fear, How the Browning of America is Making White Folks Lose Their Minds, available at bookstores nationwide. Get it online and get the audio version, which I read myself on Audible. Please get our Black Star Network, Roland Martin Unfiltered swag, you name it, t-shirts, hats, mugs, all that good stuff. Go to shopblackstarnetwork.com, shopblackstarnetwork.com. Also, support the Black-owned businesses that we have there. We got more than 40 businesses. You see all these products right here in our studio. Every single one of these products, folks, right here, that's right, Black-owned businesses that you can take advantage of, and go to shopblackstarnetwork.com. Download, of course, Fanbase app. Be sure to get the Fanbase app, and so follow me at Roland S. Martin. And don't forget, watch the Breakdown with Brittany Noble every day, noon Eastern, right here on Black Star Network. And don't forget our new weekly health show, Second Opinion with Dr. Ebony Jade Hilton. You can stream it every Thursday as well. And of course, if you missed any previous shows of ours or the other shows, go to our YouTube channel, Black Star Network app. We got it all for you. Folks, that's it. Tomorrow, 1st of April. I'll see you then. Y'all take care. Oh, this is a Toussaint Louverture, of course, the general who beat Napoleon and who freed Haiti. And so I wanted to rock this shirt today in honor of him, because, you know, you got these people out here. I love all these old ignorant people. Some of these old stupid FBA people want to call somebody a tether. Oh my God. Well, first of all, I ain't never been to Haiti. I have ancestors on my maternal, paternal side. But isn't it amazing when you have fools who want to trash somebody because they may have Haitian ancestry, but these are the folks who led the first successful slave rebellion? Huh. So when you hating, who you hating on? Yeah, these folks put the work in, and they made it possible, and they gave hope to formerly enslaved people all across the country, all across the world, when they found out about what they did in Haiti to beat back the oppressors. Yeah, so yeah, I'm rocking the shirt, and I don't give a shit what any of y'all FBA freedmen people got to say about it. I'm gonna see y'all tomorrow. Holla!